So the other day we were talking about different religions. I'm going to share with you right up front. I don't believe there's one supreme religion. I believe that religion was designed to teach us in our cultural context the truth of our nature, which is that we are spirit. We are fully spirit. We are living in these physical bodies here on this planet. Once these bodies pass away, our spirit remains. And that life is really about our soul, our spirit's journey. I'll use them interchangeably, of expansion, of learning, of growing. It is a cycle of death and rebirth. So we were talking about different religions. We talked about Christianity, we talked about Buddhism, Hinduism. And while I don't know the teaching of Buddhism and Hinduism well beyond what I was able to Google, and beyond some of the beliefs and practices that I already have. It was so interesting that without having studied, I felt aligned with the message of Buddha and the message of Krishna and the message of Yeshua. And that's who I refer to as ascended masters. They are individuals who are on the mastering journey of mastering life, self-mastery. The self is the mind, the emotions, the physical body, the action, how we show up. And the mastery is really making sure that those three things are in alignment with the soul, the spirit, the part of us that is connected to all things, that is one with the uncreated creator, the presence that exists in all things. And so we first were talking about this life and why is there so much suffering? Why are there things that we see where people are horrible to one another? Why is this allowed? And when will this change? I think that as humans, we want immediate gratification. That is why this journey of the soul can be really frustrating, because if we are thinking about it in human terms, we want to see change in the world. We often feel powerless because it feels as if there's nothing that we can truly do to release the world of its suffering. Now, this is where I'm going to paraphrase, and I'm going to invite you to go look up some of the things that I'm talking about for yourself. I'm here to share the wisdom that Spirit speaks to me. I get knowings in my heart and in my emotions and in my body. And that translates into what Spirit is trying to say. So one of the things that we looked up was that there is a belief in Buddhism that there's suffering in the world, that the suffering of the world is inevitable. There will always be suffering. I hope that that does not discourage you, because this is a really important process to our soul's expansion and awakening. The way that I see it, there's some sayings in the spiritual community: as above, so below. I also think about the yin and the yang, and how it is white with a little dot of black, and there's a black with a little dot of white, and they are in motion with one another. I believe that everywhere that we are is a reflection of what exists above and below. And so what I mean by this is that we've been taught that heaven is this wonderful place where there's no pain and there's no sorrow and everything's perfect. And for a long time, even in the spiritual journey, I've kind of gravitated to that there's a oneness space where spirit is, where the divine presence exists, and that there is a place that you can go where everything is good. There is no bad in that space. And then there's places like this planet where it seems that bad is just able to reign and rule. Injustice just seems to be able to rule and reign. And there is good, but very little of it, not enough of it to turn the tide, turn the evilness of the world into good. And so, as I was beginning to envision, I kept seeing the yin and the yang. I have this awareness that the evilness that exists in the world and the light both exist outside of this realm. Yes, the light might be greater, but if everything is connected and what we see in this experience is jealousy and envy and hatred, that those things exist everywhere, as above, so below. But I believe that as a soul, we evolve. And the whole intention of our evolution, of our incarnation, is to witness the evils of this world, the things that separate humanity and the planet, to witness those things and then rid ourselves of it. Gandhi has a quote, we often paraphrase it, be the change you want to see in the world. But the quote actually continues to talk about what we see in the outward world actually exists in our inner world. And so if we want to change the world, we must change ourselves. And we must not wait to see what others will do. Gandhi practiced Hinduism, and this was a truth that he learned to help him navigate life. I do not believe we are inherently evil, but we, even as spirit, have the potential for evil, even outside of this realm, even in the heavenlies. And that's why with the yin and the yang, you will see a dark circle in the light. And that is why you will also see a light circle in the dark. We are evolving. That is a picture of our evolution. I do not want to co-opt this symbol. I'm just sharing with you what it speaks to me. I have a deep reverence for religious practices and what their signs and symbols mean to them. I am just sharing what has been spoken to me through this sign and symbol. The evolution of our soul is really about understanding that we change the world by changing our inner world. And the outer world will reflect to us the changes that need to be made from within. So there will be suffering in the world. There will be wrongdoing and wrong deeds. There will be emotions that compel us to be hateful towards one another. But our goal is to not fall into that cycle of being pulled into that energy. It is to see that energy, those actions, those ways of being, and review ourselves and see how we participate in that behavior, and to rid ourselves of that cycle, of that practice. and that way of being, thereby expanding ourselves, expanding our light. Now, I do believe that at some point, we still have access to those emotions, those ways of being. We still have the potential to be those things that bring separation, bring harm, bring injustice into the world. We still have the capacity to do and be that. But we know better, and we choose not to. This is about our sacred choice to master our emotions, to master our thoughts, to master our actions, to be in alignment with our soul that knows that we are connected to all things and that all things are a part of us. So the suffering that we see in the world, we can see that suffering as our own. When we observe that suffering, we understand the divine law of one. We see that suffering as our personal suffering, and we advocate, we speak up, we use our voice. We do not turn a blind eye because it isn't us. We see everything and everyone as us, even the harm that is being perpetrated. We see ourselves in the person who is doing the harm. We see ourselves so that we can remove that behavior, that way of being, that emotion that compels us to act in that way, so that we can remove that from our being. This is self-mastery. And this is actually self-development. So yesterday, that's what I was trying to talk about. I was talking about personal development, and I was sharing what's the goal with personal development. I think if I asked 10 people, I'd get 10 different answers. Personal development, it is about the self, the complete self. And our self is our mind, our emotions, our physical being, our actions, how we show up, and our soul. And it's about the alignment of all the parts of self with our soul so that we can live a purposeful life. Because you see, our soul, our spirit knows why we are here. We chose this incarnation. I know that many people think that we're just here in life, bumping around, just trying to make it through. But actually, we chose to be here. And I believe that we chose every single challenge and struggle, every obstacle that we've had to overcome. We chose it knowing that it would help us release. It would help us expand into the light. We get here and we forget that there's a reason for our existence. And so for me, personal development, self-development is really about remembering, about encountering yourself in a way that sees your presence as a purposeful presence, that you're here for a reason. And so as we go about our day and do the things that we have to do, that we're consistently asking ourselves, asking Spirit, why am I here? What have you sent me? What have we collaborated? What have we conspired to do here? So I think that it's really important for us to know that if we are seeking to grow and expand as individuals, if we're seeking to expand ourselves, the self, that a focus on our emotions, our emotional intelligence, our social intelligence, our empathy is something that we must focus on for us to be committed to our mission, our vision, and our values, to find out what are our mission and our vision and our values. Why are we here? To grow and learn and expand, to get into a place where our action is right action and that we are taking right action to be a beneficial presence on this planet, to see the injustice, see the suffering in the world, and do our personal work to remove that which we see from our behaviors. In doing so, we are choosing a different behavior. We still have the capacity and the potential for wrongdoing, for injustice, for hatred, for inequality, for jealousy, but we choose something different. I'm going to end today with a quote from the Bible where Yeshua tells his followers that you must take up your cross and follow me. This actually happened before the crucifixion. And I don't think that's talked about enough. That there was an awareness that suffering will happen, right? That we are called to witness the suffering of the world, just as Yeshua did. He saw suffering in people and he healed them. He associated himself with people who others would not. He stood up for justice and equality. He stood up. He spoke out. He brought healing into the world. And even at the darkest moment where he was being ridiculed and abused, he stood in forgiveness. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. They don't know that they are me and I am them. He mastered his task of remaining in love in a world riddled with hate. He chose unconditional love. And I believe that that's what we're being called to. And in doing that, we will be the change that we want to see in the world.